Good Friday morning. Tim Radford with you here on WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am. No, it's WKRK.love now. I'm still in the habit of saying the old website. Welcome to another Friday show, and we have Sheriff Derek Palmer from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office with us. Good morning,
Good
Sheriff.
morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well this morning. It's a good, cool, crisp fall morning this morning.
We were
Beautiful outside.
We were down in the 30s overnight.
We were. Yesterday morning, I had kind of a real heavy frost on my windshield of my vehicle. This morning I had a lighter frost, but yesterday was pretty heavy on my windshield. It took me a while to defrost to get my vehicle going.
So I hope people enjoyed those 2 or 3 days of fall that we had in between summer and winter.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's felt like a nice winter morning this morning. But I know a lot of folks are excited about that. People that just don't do hot weather.
Well, as I was younger, growing up, I really loved wintertime. That was my favorite time of year. I loved to snow ski, get out and do winter sports and those kind of things. And it was just something that I just look forward to every year. But it seems like the older I get, the more I enjoy the warm weather. I would rather it be summertime and warm and that kind of thing. So I guess that's an indicator that I'm moving into my senior years. I don't know, but
we're starting to get on up there, aren't we?
Starting to move into that side of it, yeah. So
I was just
I'm not a senior yet, by the way. I'm just 47.
Just 47.
Just 47. So, but I'm getting closer. I'll put it that way.
I was mentioning this morning on Party Line. I remember being a kid going to the Murphy at Swain game, watching Murphy play there. How cold it always was back then. I remember seeing my breath when I was breathing out just come out as, what is that, fog? No, it's not fog. Steam.
Steam.
And just freezing. Now it's feeling like high school football weather.
I believe it was my senior year I played, when I played at Murphy. We was playing Swain at Swain. And it was so cold that year. It may not have been my senior year. It might have been my sophomore year. I don't know, but they all ran together. But one year we was playing at Swain, and it was so cold over there that we had those big heaters, propane heaters on the sidelines to try to keep everybody warm. And we were standing so close to those heaters and trying to warm our feet up with those cleats that we actually burned the shoestrings out of our shoes and melted our shoes.
Oh, gosh.
Trying to get their feet warm enough to play football over there. And it used to get so cold and snow every year. But that was back in the days when the Murphy Swain game was the last game of the season every year.
Yeah, it was always the last one.
It was always the last game of the season, and so it was good and cold then. It was up into November by then, and so people were really experiencing some good football weather then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, it's going to be tonight at Swain County again. We'll have the live broadcast for folks that can't go there, but we encourage you to go and support the Bulldogs.
Coach Gentry's going for his record win.
Yes, tonight. We say go Coach Gentry, and we hope you bring home a win tonight and be the most winningest coach.
I was in fifth
North
grade
Carolina.
when Coach Gentry came to Murphy.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade when he came to Murphy, and I remember distinctly. Lindsay, his daughter, was in my class, and I remember the day that she came into class that day and introduced herself as the new football coach's daughter here at Murphy, and it's been a while.
It's been a while, yes. Yeah, but when he brings home titles like this, it kind of makes us all, it's a big honor for Murphy as well.
It is.
Not just for him, but he just making us all look good.
So many times we only get recognized for bad things that happen. It's good to have some positive things out there and some good news for people to focus on.
All right. Well, speaking of bad things that happen,
let's
talk about
bad things that happen.
Let's talk about last night's 911 outage. That was a pretty significant outage that affected.
It's probably the most significant outage I can ever remember for our part of the area.
And it affected what, 7 counties?
7 counties
west of Jackson County, and and a fiber being cut.
It was my understanding, and I may have this information wrong. Teresa was taking care of all that last night. Teresa Creasman, our dispatch director. And, of course, she's home in the bed this morning. She was out all night dealing with that. But the best I understood that there was some bridge construction somewhere, and they were out around Jackson County, and they were looking at rerouting fiber. And there was some type of miscommunication on how they were going to reroute it at the time. And so they actually severed those lines out there. And when they did, it cut the fiber optic off for all of the 7 western counties of North Carolina. And every county, I think it was Haywood this away, was without 911 capabilities. And so we had to rush into emergency procedures. All 7 counties had to rush into emergency procedures to try to make sure that we had some type of functioning system going for people to work. There were many people that was asleep last night. This occurred like 11:30 last night and got repaired by 4 this morning. So a lot of people slept through it and didn't even realize it happened. But we were trying to get things out there through social media and different ways for people that were awake and alert and to try to understand that we were having issues and problems, not just in Cherokee County, but the 7 western counties was having issues with calling 911. So luckily we do have contingency plans for this kind of thing, and it's not perfect by no means. But one of the things that we do is, we were lucky on the fact of that we have what they call a VoIP system. It's voice over internet protocol where our phone systems work through. And luckily our landline phone systems were still working, were still functioning. And so even though no one could call into 911, 911 system wasn't working, those trunks were down, our phones were still working. And so we were able to put out the 835-3144 non-emergency number for people to call in on that number if they were experiencing emergencies where they needed fire, ambulance, EMS, law enforcement, those type of things. So we were able to receive calls last night and did respond to some calls last night that came in over the non-emergency number.
And folks, that may be a good number to write down, hang on your refrigerator or something.
It would.
Because if 911 is down, it's nice to have that alternate number that could possibly be working.
And say our normal contingency plan is if we go down locally, if Cherokee County 911 goes down for whatever reason, 911 calls roll over to a sister county, whether Clay County or Cherokee Tribal or one of our neighboring counties. And unfortunately, with this situation that happened last night, with all 7 counties being down, the 911 wasn't working at all. So if you were at home and you were dialing 911, you would either get a busy signal or no signal at all when you were calling. And so I think it's very important for those out there listening, especially those the seniors that's out there listening, especially for you. Write down that non-emergency number and keep it handy somewhere next to your phone, to where if you try to call 911 and you don't get a response, or it rings a busy signal, or there's some kind of issue or problem, that's an alternate number that you can try. And again, I'll give it to you again. It's 835-3144. And we'll try to give it again toward the end of the show. If you don't have anything prepared to write with at this moment, by the time the show's over, we'll try to give it out again to give you an opportunity to write it down. All
right. And for folks that have cell phones, their service was affected last night too, along with 911.
Right.
So another backup plan is for folks to drive to their nearest fire station, and they can radio for help at that point.
And as far as that contingency plan, that's the other thing that we kind of did. We had all of our fire departments had someone manning those fire departments, to where if somebody was trying to call 911 and couldn't get a hold of anybody, they could go to the fire department to get a hold of someone there, or they could call that fire department to try to get some response from them. So that in addition to whatever fire district you live in, those are also some very good numbers to keep handy by your phone, is the number to your local fire department. Know where your fire departments are, so if you have an emergency or problem, you can get to those fire departments if you have an issue there.
All right. So it's a significant damage there, and it's kind of scary to think that, one cut fiber can cut us off from the rest of the world.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out if any kind of redundancy it could be put in place that would be cost effective. Well,
I'm not trying to be an alarmist or anything, but I think with the technology that we have now, it's made us more vulnerable than we were in the past. I can remember distinctly several years ago, I don't even remember how long ago it was now, we were sitting at home one day and the power just goes off, right? It's a beautiful day, the power goes off. And when I start calling around trying to figure out what's happening, power's off all the way to Marble, it's Peachtree, March Creek, everywhere the power is off. And so I'm trying to figure out what's happening, and the result of that was, or what caused that was, a squirrel got into the substation and got electrocuted and blew the substation out, and it killed the power for about all of our communities in Cherokee County. And that's one thing I really got to thinking about then. I got to thinking, if just a squirrel could knock power out that wide, what could someone with bad intentions do?
Right.
And so the same thing kind of with the fiber optics and all this other stuff. I think that technology is great for the ease and for being able to access things. But also I think it's left us a lot more vulnerable than we were in the past, that for people that have bad intentions could easily cause a lot of damage that couldn't do in the past.
Right.
And I think we're all connected to these, right?
We're all connected,
these
yes.
cell phones now. We're all connected to these, that when these go down and don't work, we're just kind of lost because all of our information's on it, our emails on it, our text messaging, communication, social media, calls, all those kind of things. Oh, I forgot I'm on radio, right? I was showing Facebook. But our cell phones is what we're talking about. And but we're connected to these things, and that when these things don't work, we're kind of lost anymore without the technology. For those younger folks that may be listening, believe it or not, there was a day that when you got in your car and left home, nobody knew where you were till you got back or what you were doing.
I remember those good old days.
Yeah. And so until you got back, you had messages had to wait on you and that kind of thing. And so, but yeah, I think we do become a lot more vulnerable with the technology that's out there. And for those, there are some redundancy things, but there's always ways around that,
right?
Depending on what kind of damage is done.
I know at one time before the fiber was there, they had the microwave links that had the big old drums. If you remember seeing the telephone company in downtown Murphy, you saw that big old round drum. I was kind of hoping, but it could have just been cost prohibitive. I was hoping they would leave all that system in place for a backup.
Right.
So the fiber is cut like this, and it's been cut several times.
It has.
I remember one year, about 4 times the year, and you'd go try to buy something, the credit card machine's not working, or your phones don't work, and 911 doesn't work. But yeah, I was hoping there would be some kind of alternate path to reroute this, and so there's not such a huge outage.
Yeah, and like I say, there's been times in the past where Cherokee County has went down, or Clay County has went down, or Jackson, or some other county has went down as a whole. But this is the first time I ever remember of all Western North Carolina going down at the same time. And I'm not saying it hasn't happened before. It may have very well happened before. It's just the first time I remember it happening. And so that can get kind of scary sometimes when you think about how everything just went dead at one time. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So let's repeat the non-emergency number again in case you missed it. 828-835-3144, 835-3144. So if 911 goes down and cell phones go down, this number is on the voice over IP system. So if the sheriff's department still has internet, their phones are working.
Right. That is correct.
And so that's an important. We have the voice over IP here in the studio, and I love it. And a lot of times our phones will work when everything else is gone.
Yeah, it's amazing how that. I don't understand all the technology and stuff. I was sharing with Tim before the show started that, Teresa and Joe Wood, Chief Deputy, we have almost daily meetings. We at least have a weekly meeting, but sometimes we have daily meetings about radio issues, computer issues, those type of things with 911 and the radio systems and that kind of thing. And they explain almost every meeting about how these things work and all these different companies and systems, and one company does this and one company does that, and one's in charge of this, and this system runs that system, and how the radios work and how they connect to each other, and plans for the future, and how we're going to try to help communications better and those kind of things. And I'll just be honest with you, I have a hard time retaining all that and trying to keep it all straight in my head about what does what and how it all works on the technology side. It can get very complicated about how that works. And so we're in the process now. You're talking about the redundancy and those kind of things. We're in the process now of trying to make sure that we have that redundancy locally here within the sheriff's office and 911 center. We have a backup center down here in Murphy in town, and so we are trying to work through the process. It still has old equipment in it, old computer systems, those kind of things. So we're still trying to work through that process of making that a redundant center, to where if our center goes completely down, we have exactly the same equipment, same process, same everything in that center, to where we can just move into it and just continue business as normal. We still utilize that center. We still use it for a backup center now.
And that was the main center.
That was the main center before. But now what's happening is those computers, all the technology we was just talking about that's in that center is now getting old and getting outdated and needs to be replaced, and we need the VoIP system. We need all those kind of things in that center. So we're working on getting all that transferred, trying to get monies appropriated for that and get all those systems in there going, to where when dispatchers go to that center, they got the same equipment, same system, same everything that they're working in the center now. So it's not a learning curve. They can just go straight into it and start working again.
And I just want to say thank you to Teresa and Kyle and everybody at 911 Dispatch. And I know Joe was there.
Right.
Did a Facebook video of what was going on.
Right.
And just thank everybody, because people don't realize how important dispatch is until they need to make that phone call. And
well, we were talking about that in our administrative meeting the other day. I'm the first to cheer on our EMS stations and our EMS workers. If I've said before, if I'm sick, if I'm having a heart attack, I want the very best equipment, the very best truck, the very best paramedic coming to try to save my life, and operating out of the very best centers they can operate out of. But one of the things that we tend to forget a lot of times is without 911 and without those dispatchers, things like EMS, fire, law enforcement, we're just kind of sitting there twiddling our thumbs waiting on something to happen. And if there's no dispatcher, no dispatch center to receive those calls and to put those calls out, then those EMS trucks are not going to roll anywhere. The fire department's not going to roll anywhere. Law enforcement's going to be very limited in what we're doing. And so we tend to forget a lot of times about the importance of dispatch and the hub of dispatch. And it is actually the hub that keeps everything working in the county. And when you don't have dispatch, you don't really have a whole lot of anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
And Teresa did a fantastic job keeping our Facebook updated last night. Because of their jobs, Teresa is over dispatch and Robin Caldwell is over emergency management. And those two have access to our Facebook page. So if they need to get the word out real quick, they can and post as WKRK, because sometimes they might not be able to get in touch with me.
Right.
And I was nice and sleepy last night. So Teresa did a fantastic job, not only capturing a video of Joe Wood, but also just keeping that timeline of and letting people know what to expect.
And it was very good this morning because I was like you, I was at home last night. They were handling things, keeping me updated on what was going on. But when I came in this morning, there were emails and timelines. I've got one right here of when everything happened, the times that happened, and where they were updating stuff and those kind of things. So it's very good to have leaders in position to where when I come in, I can have access to all this and they have everything laid out for me as to what happened. And
how long was the outage?
Yeah, it started at 11:37 p.m. and was restored at 4:18 this morning. So 5 hours, close to
5 hours.
About 5 hours.
Okay,
yeah.
So that is a pretty significant.
Yeah.
Used to, it took a lot longer to repair fiber.
Right.
It would take about a half a day. I think I remember when they first.
I was I think the first fiber outage I remember it took like almost a complete day, a day and a half to get it restored again. And so as technology has increased, the repair has increased. The timeline and those kind of things. So 5 hours is a long time if you got 911 down. But it's a pretty good turnaround to repair a fiber optic line. So,
and let's thank those repairmen who were out there fixing all that stuff.
Right.
All right. Let's see. There is a 5K event tomorrow, running with the law. So
that's tomorrow evening.
That is tomorrow evening. That starts at the sheriff's office, correct?
Right. That's correct. And we start there at the sheriff's office. It's got a course that goes through town. Returns back to the sheriff's office. It's a 5K. The route is aligned with blue lights and with law enforcement. Be led by law enforcement. There'll be lights at the finish line when people come back in. We also have events for kids. We like to do some short races, some sprints and different things, for the small kids, and depending on the age group that they can get involved and compete with each other. We have different divisions within the 5K itself, from seniors to age groups and different things in there. So if you don't want to run the 5K, you can come out and walk. It's just an event that we try to get our community connected with law enforcement. We try to just try to have some time that we interact on a positive side and a good note with the public there, and just try to foster that relationship with our public and let them see us in a different way than just when something bad's going down or something bad's happening.
Fantastic. And it's a fundraising event for
For our
auxiliary,
our ladies auxiliary at the sheriff's office.
Okay, and what does the auxiliary do?
They the ladies auxiliary at the sheriff's office is kind of wives and different people at the sheriff's office that is connected with the sheriff's office that may have husbands that are law enforcement, or they may hold different jobs in the sheriff's office and those type of things, and they do different community things in association with the sheriff's office. So a lot of our things like the kids fishing day, the 5K, of course, that we're doing, they help with like the Veterans Day events that we have, Memorial Day events, all those type of things. They're kind of like the liaison between the public and the sheriff's office that kind of sponsors these things and get it together and gets it going for us. And they do a lot of good work for the sheriff's office.
All right. If folks want to register for the 5K that they're running with the law, how do they do that?
They can contact Stephanie Swanson at the sheriff's office. They can call the front office, speak with Dawn in the front office, or any of our assistants there, and they'll get them in touch with the people. But Stephanie is the one that's kind of putting it together and heading it up. So Stephanie or Rose, either one, is the ones that's kind of they need to get in contact with.
So 837-2589.
2589. Yep.
And ask for Stephanie.
Ask for Stephanie or Rose. Yeah. They'll get you squared away with it.
All right. What else has been going on this week with regards to the sheriff's office?
Well, again, it seems like I talk about this every week, but it's just the kind of the nature of the beast that we live in. But our detectives also been out this week recovering property and those type of things, and working on the drugs in the county. I was talking with an ex-SBI agent last night, and we were having a conversation about the drugs and stuff in the county, and he works all over now. He works all over North Georgia and Tennessee and North Carolina, and he was talking about how it was the same everywhere he goes, everywhere he sees that having this trouble with needles everywhere and the drugs in the area, and every county it seems like they go through is facing the same situation. But that's not an excuse not to try. So we try to get out every day and try to do what we can to curb the situation and try to fight drugs. As a matter of fact, I think it was 2 days ago now, all my appointments was cleared up. I went out and started riding the roads and just started looking for stuff to do. I go out to Grizzly Bear intersection at the hot spot. I kind of parking out there and just kind of watch things going on, and I witnessed a drug transaction go down just right in front of me, and so we were able to go out and get all those folks arrested that was involved in that drug transaction. And,
wow.
And I mean, just right there in broad daylight in front of the store, I
in front of the sheriff.
In front of the sheriff, just sitting there watching it. So we were able to, make some arrests out of that, seize some narcotics and both some pills and methamphetamine out of that, and then arrest people involved. I think we arrested 4 people out of it, out of 2 different vehicles. So. But again, it's everywhere you look, everywhere you turn. One thing I would like to say, though, is speaking about working and the drugs and those kind of things, is I do want to say to our friends up in Andrews Police Department, with Chief Hobgood and his new people that he's got up there, it seems like that they're doing a good job in Andrews. I've seen and been listening on the radio. It seems like they're bringing people to jail right and left, and trying to do their best to clean up those situations up there in Andrews without them being without a police department for so long. Mm-hmm. And but it seems like they're on top of things and working hard, and I just want to congratulate them and encourage them to keep it up and keep up a good job.
Fantastic. And one time we had a conversation about fentanyl, how deadly that was. Has that kind of died down, or is that still an issue?
It's still an issue. It's still out there. I think it's died down a little bit. But I was just reading on Facebook yesterday, I think it was Fox Carolina or Fox News, Fox 8 or one of those out there, where they had a story about a Guilford County District Court judge who overdosed on heroin and fentanyl. That they had found him in his, I can't remember the judge's name, but they had found him in his apartment or home, and when the Guilford County Sheriff's Office went to investigate it, they found him with a baggie of white powder and stuff next to him, and that he had actually, when the autopsy came back, it came back on a acute fentanyl and heroin overdose. And so that just shows you, that if we have a judge out here that overdosed on heroin and fentanyl, that it can reach anybody, any place, any business, any person, that no one's immune from getting in that situation. So and I think it was Fox 8. I'm not sure. It could have been Fox Carolina that I saw that on, but it's one of the local Fox stations.
What are the most prominent drugs right now in our area that people are abusing?
We're still seeing, of course, a lot of methamphetamine in the area. Heroin is always the big topic. It's the big thing that we're seeing that's causing it and fentanyl causing the overdoses and those type of things that we're seeing. We're not seeing a lot of deaths and overdoses. We're seeing a few, but not like we were before with the advent of Narcan and all these other things that's coming out. We're getting more and more where people are calling in overdoses, where medics are responding, or they're Narcanning people themselves and bringing them back from death, and so we're seeing a lot more non-fatal overdoses at this point, but we're still seeing a lot of overdoses. One of the things that we do want to encourage people to do, though, and I tell people this all the time that's addicted to substances, is you never know what you're taking. You never know what you're putting in your system. And so, the best thing is if you don't know what it is, or you don't know don't be taking this stuff and putting it in your system. I don't know how much clearer to put it. And I know that's easier said than done a lot of times with people who are addicts. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times people don't know the potency of what they're taking or how much of what they're taking, and they're overdosing themselves. And be honest with you, I have mixed ideas, I guess you might say, about the Narcan and about those type of things. I think we should bring anybody back. That's not what I'm saying, but I think that one of the issues that we're seeing with Narcan is that people are using more and more because they have the idea, if I overdose, I can just Narcan and it's not going to kill me. And so we see people diving more into that and using it more without fear, because they just have the attitude of I can just get Narcan and it'll be all right.
Oh wow!
So with everything that we do to try to help a situation, there's also an adverse reaction.
There can be abuse on anything.
Right, there can be abuse on anything, and so. We're just looking for the day and hoping, and I tell people this all the time within my neighboring counties and different places, and the SBI I talked to this last week, and FBI I've talked to. If you come up with an idea or a solution that can help and kind of curb this drug thing, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it, because we're looking for anything we can out here to try to help the drug situation in our counties. So we just have to keep after it.
All right. Well, Derek, I see our time is just about gone.
Oh yeah.
Anything you else want to mention before we close out?
No, just remember, like I say, the Running with the Law tomorrow night, and I think there's a meeting in Martins Creek tomorrow evening. Also, kind of like a community event there in Martins Creek. So I'm going to try to make both of those. I don't know quite how that'll work out, but I'll figure it out. I'll try to get to both.
All right.
places.
What's the location of the community
I think it's
meeting?
Martins Creek Community Center.
Community Center?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's Martins Creek Community Center. And so we're going to try to be there also, and try to talk to the community a little bit tomorrow night also.
Fantastic. All right. Folks, you are tuned to WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and online at WKRK.love. And we're ending our Facebook fade here and hitting stop on this recorder.